Hi, this is the second serious video I'm doing today. I don't know if I'm going to upload it today. This might be uploaded later. So this might be past me. Or is past anyway. Today I want to talk about something that I have experienced and that a lot of people experience and possibly don't know they're experiencing and maybe never know that they experience. So I'm going to talk about toxic friendships and my experience with a toxic friend. My first day of high school, I was really shy and awkward, and I think a lot of people are like that, but everyone else just seemed so chilled out about it. I don't know if that's just how it looks, and everyone's actually internally freaking out, but I was just not. I think I read most of the time. I did on the first day meet a group of girls in my class who I'm not friends with anymore, but that's a different story. One of the girls in that group was the friend who, for the sake of this video, I'm going to name Alina. So I met Alina the first day, and we were kind of vaguely friends at first. Like, we were just like, yeah, just hanging out, but we gradually became quite close, and within a few weeks we were like, oh, you're my best friend, and everything seemed to be fine, until she one day talked to me and she was like, oh, the other girls in the group don't want to hang out with you and they're hiding from you and stuff. And I was like, okay. And I think I talked to someone who went to intermediate with Alina, and they were like, oh, yeah, don't trust her. She's probably making that up. Don't just disconnect yourself from them without knowing the whole story. But of course, me being naive, I just did cut myself off from the rest of the group, and I just hung out with Alina. And that stung because a few months later, it was revealed by one of the girls in the group, who is actually to this day a good friend of mine. She told me that the group had never said things like that, so Alina was just saying things to mess with me, or I don't know, to create drama. I don't know. And she denied that happened, but talking to the rest of the girls in the group and people who knew Alina, it definitely seemed like that might have been the case. I think we did take a couple of weeks off being friends that year because of that, and I was like, I don't think I trust you right now. I need to be alone. And she was just like, because basically whenever we stopped talking, whenever I was upset, she would just completely, she wouldn't talk about it. She would just go on like it hadn't happened, and she'd talk to everyone else and be completely happy, and I'd be like, okay, cool, thanks. In year 10, basically from the start of the year, we were just like, oh yeah, I forgive you, we're friends again. And I mean, I guess that could be understandable, except for the fact that she was, I think she was the first friend I came out to, and then maybe a month later, she outed me to a friend who then outed me to the entire class, and of course that spread like wildfire through the whole school. And that was really difficult for me for a long time, and I found it very difficult to trust people and to talk to people, but I still just went back to her after a bit because I was like, hey, you're my best friend, right? This is what's normal in best friendship. There are always ups and downs. This is what it's supposed to be like. But if your best friend is constantly hurting you and betraying you and saying things about you and making you feel bad about yourself, that's not what friendship is, and I was just completely unaware of that at the time. Um, she was still hanging out with the same girls from year 9, and so after I'd gone back to her and been like, oh, let's talk again, and we're like, okay, cool. Um, the she would still hang out with me, but she wouldn't tell the other girls. She'd be like, I think one time, I saw her texting, and one of the girls was like, why are you hanging out with Emily? And she was like, oh, I was just being nice to her, I don't really want to be her friend, or something along those lines. And I was like, dude, what's up with this? And she was like, what are you talking about? That's not what I wrote. And I was like, I have the receipts, but whatever. And this sounds very typical teen drama already. I definitely let this continue for way longer than I should have. I think then that night, we were fighting over it via text, and then it got very dark very quickly. She started saying things like, oh yeah, then I'm going to kill myself, and that kind of thing. And I was like, what do I do? What do I do now? So I was like, okay, go talk to the counsellor or something. And, oh, a Windows Defender thing just came up. Okay. I'm not getting that, nerd. She was like, just saying all this stuff, like, oh yeah, if you don't talk to me, then I'm going to kill myself. I hate myself. I hate this world and all this stuff. And basically manipulated me into staying friends with her. And, she did go to the counsellor, but nothing really happened with that. I don't know if she even told the whole truth of everything she'd been saying there. I don't know if she even was telling the truth to me at first, but I don't know really know what happened with that. So flash forward to year 11, which is this year. She stopped being friends with the girls from year 9 because apparently there was some whole thing, some kind of conflict. I don't really know, and I don't really care. But they stopped being friends, and so Alina and I just hung out full time. And we used to sit in the front field at my school, and we'd hang out every day, like every lunch break, every morning tea break, and it was good. It did often get a bit like repetitive, I guess. It kind of got to the point where I didn't really know what to say, and as it went on, it felt like there was less to talk about. And our friendship basically just consisted of me sending her memes and her going, cool, lol. And then something happened that was a big explosion in this whole saga. And that was a girl that Alina was friends with. And I'm going to call her I can't think of Chloe. I'm going to call her Chloe. I'm sorry to any Chloes out there. I'm sorry to any Alinas out there. This is not aimed at you guys. This is just hypothetical naming. Literally Chloe Price is on my wall, and she's the first thing I saw. So Chloe didn't like me, and she made it very obvious that she didn't like me, and it wasn't just things that she would say. It was the way she'd act around me, and she'd always be like, and like, doing little mumbles under her breath and that kind of thing whenever I said anything, and I knew she didn't like me, and I was basically just like, okay, whatever, I don't care, that doesn't really matter to me. She made it a lot more obvious when one time, she was walking with one of her friends who I was vaguely friends with, and I said hi to the other friend, and then Chloe said to me, I don't like you, completely out of the blue, just that came out of nowhere. I don't know what inspired her to say that, except for my presence. And I was like, alright. I did mention it to Alina, but I didn't want her to get involved or anything, because I thought there's no use in her getting into the drama. She can be friends with Chloe if she wants to. as long as she stands up for me sometimes, right? Yeah, no. Because the next day she was talking to me and she was like, oh, I was talking to Chloe yesterday and she was talking about how she hates you and why. And I thought in my mind, but what did you say to that? Like, did she just tell you all this stuff and you just went, yeah, okay? Because I definitely got the feeling she was not sticking up for me and I was like, okay. But I let it slide because I was still pretty upset about it, but I just let it slide. I was like, this is alright. We can forget about this. We can forget about everything that is crumbling, everything that is going wrong. We can just ignore it and it's not happening. But then she had her birthday coming up and she was like, I'm having a birthday party. Do you want to come? And I was like, yeah, that sounds awesome. And then she messaged me on Facebook and she was like, oh yeah, by the way, Chloe's going to be coming to the party, just to let you know. And not in a petty way or anything like that. I just said, okay, I don't think it would be best if I went because it might start conflict and it might have drama. I didn't want to start conflict at another person's party, which I have done before, and it's like, no. I didn't want to ruin the party or create conflict where there didn't have to be conflict. And she was like, that's really mean of you. And I said, excuse me? And she said, yeah, you should actually try hanging out with Chloe and be nice to her for a change. And I was like, the thing is, it was Chloe who was saying things to me like, I don't like you. In response, I might just shrug. That was pretty much all I ever did in response to anything like her being catty. I just go, I didn't really care. And I made it clear that I didn't care that she didn't like me. Just as clear as she made it that she didn't like me. But Alina was like, no, you have to actually try. She's my best friend and she's lovely and she's nice to me. So it doesn't matter if she's not nice to you. And then I was like, hold on a second. It's alright. And basically this fight continued half the night and I was steadily getting angrier and she was steadily getting more into the whole I will kill myself then thing. And then I said, no, I finally said the thing that I should have said from the start, which was that the friendship was destroying me, because it was. And I don't think you could even call it a friendship at that point, because it wasn't. It was just damaging. And I told her that I did hope she could get help if she was having problems, but that I would not be by her side any longer because I needed to be on my own and to not be constantly feeling like I'm being put down. And I think she in response was like, okay, pretty much. And then we just stopped talking. Completely. Well, not completely. We're in the same drama class and sometimes things do happen. We have to talk for acting of things, but it's awkward, but it's civil at least. And I see her around a lot, and we just don't acknowledge each other because, yeah. And to be honest, I feel a lot better about myself and happier now that I'm out of the friendship because I think it was something that I couldn't see was hurting me, but it was. Like, it was definitely part of the reason that I was so stressed all the time because I was constantly worried about her doing something if I upset her in any way. Because if I made her thinking if I didn't show up for lunch, she'd feel really depressed about it and that kind of thing. And it was just the manipulation she used a lot of the time as well. And I let that rule me for a long time, but I think the moment I let it stop ruling me, I became my own person and I became myself outside of that friendship. So, yeah. For any of you who are going through toxic friendships, I think the first thing to do is to stop and look at the friendship and evaluate it, even just day by day. Just look at little things that your friend does or says and think, how does that actually make me feel? And I mean, don't go like every single thing they say, like, I like cake, and being like, do you mean you hate me? But things like backhanded compliments, that kind of thing. And the next thing, I think you should like write down, because this is what I did. You just write down all the negative things about being friends with them and the positive things, a pros and cons list. Ted Mosby would be so proud of me right now. I think my teacher got me to do this actually because I had like a panic attack about this in class, and she was like, "Okay, what's going on?" and got me to write out a whole list. And when you look at it, there's generally a lot more cons than pros, and even if there aren't, the cons are a lot stronger than the pros a lot of the time for things like this. So, yeah. The next thing is you just you definitely need to talk to the person. You can't just cut them off immediately and be like, okay, no talking ever again. You do need to talk about how it makes you feel, which is what I did. And sometimes there are still things that I'm like, oh, I wish I'd said this instead. But you just need to think of everything, just think of how you feel, and just get that out and explain it and just be yourself. And if the friendship can be salvaged, which in some cases I'm sure it can, I've had friendships that have had huge rifts, and they're good friendships. We just needed space and that kind of thing. But if it is causing you stress and it's doing bad things to you mentally, then you need to get out of the friendship after talking to them about it. And I just hope that you are all happy. That's all I want for you guys. And yeah. So thank you for watching this. This was a really long video. Oh my god, this is going to take 7 years to upload. Oh, I'm sorry. If you'd like to learn more about this, I don't know that I have any real resources or anything, but maybe just look up information on toxic friendships, that kind of thing. But yeah, the only relationships worth being in are ones that make you feel good about yourself and you know that you're making the other person feel good about themselves. That's Any other relationship is just kind of meaningless and pointless and not worth your time. So yeah, thank you, and subscribe for more hopeful content like this, because I'm definitely hoping to get more serious videos out, and I don't want to be like really depressing, but I have a lot to say. So I want to actually start doing that, because a lot of my videos have been me sort of holding back, but I want to I want to just completely express everything I feel and think. So thank you for watching, and I hope you have a brilliant day. Is it off? No, it's not off.